So at the start of your divorce, you may be wondering what is marital property and what will be considered non-marital property. Generally speaking, in New Jersey, marital property is defined as anything that was acquired from the date of your marriage until the date a divorce complaint is filed. And that is what I call the marital estate. So let's say, for instance, just before your marriage, you purchased a car. Well, that car is not going to be treated as marital property. But after your marriage, you purchase a car, that's part of the marital estate. If I have a retirement account, let's say a 401k. So prior to the marriage, I was working, I contributed to my 401k every year. That portion of my 401k that I acquired prior to the date of my marriage is separate property. Now I continue to deposit money each year. I invest more money into that 401k during the marriage. Those investments and the interest that I'm earning on those investments would be considered marital property. And these are things that you want to discuss with your attorney at the onset of your case. So I generally divide my clients' assets between tangible property, things like cars, the furnishings in your home, maybe artwork, some china, those things. That's tangible property. You acquired it during the marriage, and we're going to talk about how you're going to divide that. But your other assets, things like stocks, bonds, 401ks, mutual funds, bank accounts, those types of financial instruments, you may need more detailed information that you're going to discuss either with an accountant or financial planner and your attorney to determine what increase on those assets is subject to division. So those assets, we look at the date of marriage to the date of your complaint, and that's how we value those assets. Now let's talk about a business. Perhaps I owned a local store. Let's say I owned a hardware store before the marriage, and then I get married and I continue to operate my hardware store. So the question might become, did my hardware store suddenly become a marital asset just because I got married? Well, I'm going to ask you, what happened to the hardware store during the marriage? Did you invest capital into the hardware store? Did your spouse continue to work in the store or start to work in the store with you after the marriage? And there may be a need to value that business. And again, you're going to go to a financial expert, perhaps an accountant, a forensic accountant, that's going to help you and your attorney determine the value of that business and then the increased value of that business during the course of your marriage. The reverse could happen. Maybe during your marriage you decided to open a dog walking service, and you have 10 people working in your dog walking service, and then that business fails. All of your dog owners in your neighborhood have moved, and you've now closed that dog walking business. Well, even though you may still have the business structure formed, you formed an LLC or an S Corp, that entity may still exist, but it has no value because the business has no assets, you now have no clients, you're not walking dogs anymore, so the business itself has no value. And again, an expert, a CPA or your attorney, can walk you through what you would do in your divorce on how to treat that particular asset.